Tennessee has a lot going for it in terms of trying to be better this year. What are the biggest reasons they could be better? That'll be 4 downs now. I don't have the board, so I'm just going to channel Cooper Mays here to tell you guys to hit like and subscribe. And Coop brings you first down why Tennessee will be better in 2025. The linebackers are much more experienced. Look, Arian Carter is a raw, talented guy and has a ton of athleticism and is going to be very elite and a special player, and I think an NFL star. He was in his first year starting last year, so he was out of position at times and struggled in different blitz schemes and blitz packages. Jeremiah Thielander, meanwhile, had to be plugged in the middle of the season because Keenan Peely suffered a season-ending injury. One of the criticisms of Tim Banks when Tennessee faced Georgia and when Tennessee faced Ohio State was that the defensive line, which had been great all year, did not get the pressure they needed to, but Tim Banks didn't dial up any blitz packages. Well, one of the reasons I believe he didn't dial up blitz packages is because Carter and Thielander just didn't have the experience. Again, that's about the linebackers making the right moves and being in the right position and making the right calls. He's going to have a lot more flexibility with them this year. They're both really good. They just needed experience playing. They have it now. So I think in 2025, a more experienced linebacker core will allow Tim Banks to be a lot more creative with what he dials up in his blitz packages. So linebackers being more experienced is, to me, the actual biggest reason Tennessee will be better in 2025. That was first down from Coop. Second down from Cooper Mays. The wide receiver room should upgrade significantly. Brew McCoy's medical retirement, and I talked about this last week with Jimmy Hyams, was evidence that Tennessee's receiver room was severely limited last year because Josh Heupel went all in on McCoy as his go-to wideout coming off a broken leg. McCoy had lost his step and wasn't able to dictate coverage the way he could in 2022 when Cedric Tillman went down. Because he was unable to dictate coverage, guys didn't roll off from other players like Dante Thornton and even Squirrel White in the slot. And more importantly, Nico Iamaleava couldn't lead Brew McCoy on deep balls the way Josh Heupel wants his quarterbacks to. Squirrel White, meanwhile, played the whole year or a big portion of the year with a separated shoulder, and Dante Thornton himself was coming off injury. Those were the 3 rotational guys, all of them hampered, none more than Brew McCoy, which slowed the entire receiver room. Chris Brazzell was the 4th guy that got a lot of catches. He is back this year. He should be better. And again, he wasn't supposed to be one of the main 3 rotational guys last year. He just had to because of the injuries I was talking about. So with Brew McCoy and Squirrel White and Dante Thornton gone, in their place, you have Chris Brazzell, the full-time number 2 wideout, a possession receiver who you can just throw the ball up to and hope they make a play. Braylon Staley and Boo Carter alternating time in the slot. Staley those 2 together should be better than Squirrel White was last year in the slot just because they're healthier. And then Mike Matthews, who I believe does have the speed and size necessary to dictate coverage the way I'm talking about. And with that in mind, I think Mike Matthews as the go-to wideout changes everything and leads to an upgraded receiver room, significantly so. Now, the question is, will the quarterback be willing to let the possession receiver and Chris Brazzell go up and make a play in one-on-one coverage? And that leads us to third down by Tennessee center Cooper Mays. Tennessee has more experience at quarterback. Now, we've discussed it at length, ad nauseum, about the differences between Josh Heupel, Nico Iamaleava, and Joey Aguilar. What are the advantages to Tennessee landing Aguilar? What are the disadvantages to losing Nico? All of those things. We've broken that down to the umpth degree. But one area in which Joey Aguilar is an advantage is his gunslinger mentality. Because Josh Heupel's system doesn't design enough plays for you to have opportunities to throw that many interceptions. So gunslinger can fit really well because the drawback on a gunslinger is not much of a drawback. More importantly, gunslingers let their receivers make plays. Aguilar will throw it up and let Chris Brazzell make a play. Nico Iamaleava did not do that last year. So more experience at quarterback means a better understanding of when receivers make plays. Most importantly, better pocket presence. I do think Joey Aguilar is going to have better pocket presence than Nico Iamaleava had last year. And by the way, I told you guys this a while ago. I think Tennessee's quarterback situation is not as good as it would have been had Nico stayed, but it will be better than it was last. Joey Aguilar will be better than Nico was last year, just not better than what Nico would have been this year. That does mean an upgrade at quarterback, though. technically, if I'm comparing this year to last year and saying why Tennessee will be better. So the more experience at quarterback and just the improved play in general at quarterback, not from where it would have been with Nico, but just where it will be from last year, is a reason Tennessee will be better. Aguilar's gunslinger mentality, his willingness for players to make plays, and his pocket presence are all huge deals. And the pocket presence is the biggest thing. That was a weakness for Nico Iamaleava. More on that with pocket presence and the passing game. It'll lead us to fourth down first. Again, 4 downs brought to you by Ted Russell Ford.
Like a blast from the past, the Super Dealer is back. Look to the skies, Knoxville. The Super Dealer is fighting for price, service, and the American made. Ted Russell Ford is East Tennessee's #1 volume Ford dealer. Save up to $4,350 on a new Ford F-150 XLT, or get into a new Ford Ranger XLT with no payments for 90 days. Come see the Super Dealer today at either Ted Russell Ford.
All SEC center Cooper Mays brings you fourth down. Fourth down in an underrated reason that Tennessee could be better in 2025. Healthy pass blockers. Yes, healthy pass blockers. Now, we have talked about the interior of the offensive line for Tennessee. I don't see how they come close to matching what they did last year with Cooper Mays, Javonte Spraggins, two of the best interior linemen in Tennessee history. And I'm willing to go out on a limb and say that. Plus Andre Carrick being a solid blocker last year, taking a huge step forward. They were incredible. They blocked for an amazing running back in Dylan Sampson. And the combination of those 3 interior blockers and Sampson's elite running led to Sampson setting the school record for rushing yards in a season and rushing touchdowns in a season. They're not going to repeat that. But the pass blocking was an issue, because Lance Hurd and John Campbell Jr. were both hurt the first half of the season. Hurd had a sprained ankle. Second half of the season, Hurd got much better as he got healthier. Lance Hurd's back, and he's healthy. John Campbell Jr. is solid. He's gone. He graduated. Tennessee brings in David Sanders Jr. You may think that should make this a fear, and it could make this a concern. However, David Sanders is a 5-star and the highest rated recruit for Tennessee since Eric Berry. Those type of players are the rare guys you expect to be able to start as freshmen. More importantly, in Josh Heupel's system, there's not a lot of complexities when it comes to playing tackle in the system. So you can really just plug a guy in, and David Sanders is a talented guy you can just plug in. This is why Larry Johnson hit the portal. So assuming those things are true, the pass protection is going to be healthier, meaning the pass blocking should be better. If Tennessee had healthy tackles, they beat Arkansas last year and they advanced further in the college football playoff because they finished 11-1 and they host a playoff game in the first round. They play for the SEC title. With that in mind, I would say healthy pass protection is a very underrated reason they could be better. The poll question is up right now, guys. If Tennessee is better in 2025, it will be due to more experience at linebacker, upgrade at wide receiver, better quarterback, or healthy pass blockers. Go ahead and vote on that now. I want to get to the message board, some of y'all's thoughts. Adam says Nico is like an F-35 that's missing its computer chip. Yep. You also make a great point, Adam. Linebacker experience is what to be excited about. Tennessee lost to Georgia because linebackers couldn't defend the pass. You're right, Adam. And it wasn't that they weren't athletic enough. It was that they were still struggling and learning the system. And Jeremiah Thielander was not ready to be a starter. So I think that's a really, really, really big deal. Now, Derek, you bring up, I don't see the defensive line being the same. Good luck, Tim Banks. You are right, Derek. They won't be the same. That was what I talked about yesterday. One of the reasons Tennessee, if you weigh everything out, it's likely Tennessee is worse this year than they were last year. But at the same time, I'm bringing up reasons they could be better this year. So, and I think the quarterback play and the wide receivers should be better. Sam Strock says, I'm not kidding. I think Tennessee should have a defense just as good and better receivers, offensive line and quarterback. Running back as a collective and tight end should be basically the same. All right, Sam, that's a little ambitious. I'm going to address all of those, actually. Defense just as good as possible if the linebackers do what I think they should do. But remember, Jamal McCoy is hurt. Better receivers, totally agree. Better offensive line, I did just bring up the pass blocking, but the offensive line as a unit, sorry, totally disagree. That you can't erase how good the interior of that line was with Cooper Mays, Javonte Spraggins, and Andre Carrick. Quarterback could be better. Running backs as a collective, again, no, because the interior of the offensive line is going to be worse. And then tight end, you're right, basically the same, but Miles Kittelman is banged up. That's the only reason. but at the same time, Ethan Davis should be more ready this year than he was last year. So I think a lot of different reasons that Tennessee could be better. Derek brings up a great point. Home field advantage and an SEC championship appearance, and they probably keep Nico. You're right, Derek. If Tennessee beats Arkansas, we might be looking back one day and talking about how Arkansas altered the future. That Arkansas game altered the future so much. And that might be a topic for tomorrow, because if Tennessee beats Arkansas, they host a playoff. They make the SEC title. They host a playoff. NIL people are willing to cobble up more money, and they will really want to keep Nico at that moment. So I'm just saying that I think that Arkansas game is more underrated than we think, and it came down to pass protection issues. As far as the poll question goes, I'm going to leave it up for a little while, but as of right now, if Tennessee is better in 2025, it will be due to more experience at linebacker, upgrade at wide receiver, better quarterback, healthy pass blockers. 55% of you say better quarterback, 18% say more experience at linebacker, 18% say upgrade at wide receiver, and 9% say healthy pass blockers.